Hello, RPSM students, families, friends, community. I'm Angela Schwarzkopf, and I'm the harp teacher at the Regent Park School of Music. Today, I thought it would be fun to create a soundtrack to one of my favorite books in my home called Emmet Owl Plays the Harp. And you can do this at home. You can play along with us right now, and you can also do it with any storybook you find around your house. It's a fun way to make music. All right, so we're gonna start, and usually what I usually do this in my classes. I love doing this with my students, and I bring a variety of different types of books, and the first thing I usually do is I read the storybook. So I'm gonna read the storybook to you now, and we're gonna listen and hear if there's any words that are used a lot in the story. Here we go. Emmet Owl plays the harp. Once there was an owl named Emmet Owl. He was 9 years old. He lived with his mom and dad. They were a good family. I'm gonna show you guys the pictures as I go. They're really sweet. He always wanted to play the harp, so he asked his mom if he could. She said, "I have to talk to Dad." And they both said yes. Miss Who was his harp teacher. She was a very, very good teacher. Four months later, he told his friends about his new talent, and they said, "You play the harp? You probably couldn't strike a note. You're kidding." They laughed. Ha, ha, ha. Louie and Dewey thought the whole idea was so funny. "I'm not kidding, and I can prove it too. I'm going to invite you to a concert next Saturday," said Emmet. All week after school, Emmet Owl went straight home. He did his homework and practiced his harp. On Saturday, Emmet Owl was nervous. His friends were there to laugh him off the stage, but his mom, dad, and harp teacher had faith in him. When he played the harp, the room was silent and still. He played so beautifully, everyone was impressed with how nicely he played. After Emmet Owl played the harp, the audience applauded. His friends, Louie and Dewey, now felt rather silly. They came up to him and said, "Sorry for not believing you about playing the harp." "It's okay," said Emmet. "Do you think we could still be friends?" asked Louie. "Sure," said Emmet. "Could you teach us how to play the harp?" asked Dewey. "Sure, I'd be glad to," said Emmet. And that is the end of our story. So, I'm not sure if you heard many words repeating in this story, but I heard them say the word harp a lot of times, and I heard them say Emmet Owl a lot of times, sometimes just Emmet, sometimes just Owl, but mostly Emmet Owl. And they said the names Louie and Dewey a few times. So I think what would be fun would be to come up with a sound effect for those three different things that come up. So when we hear the word harp, You can make up a sound on your instrument at home, anything you want that you think reflects the word harp. I'm going to do in my harp that sound. Now, Emmet Owl. What would be a good sound effect for Emmet the Owl? I'm not sure. I think Emmet's a really nice character and he sounds very friendly, and I think I'm just gonna do something like this. Just really simple. You can pick any sound you want at home. And then for Louie and Dewey, anytime we hear either of their names, usually together, what's another sound effect we could make? I think I'm gonna make this kind of sound. I'm just gonna pluck a few strings like that. So now I'm gonna read the story again, and we're gonna play our sound effect every time we hear these words come up. And you can pick as many words to your storybooks at home as you want. You could pick one word, or you could pick 5 words, and come up with a sound that you want for each of those. And when you hear that word, when you read the story again, you're gonna make that sound effect on your instrument. And if you feel inspired while you're listening to the story to play some other notes or to make some other sounds, that's fantastic, because what you're doing is creating a soundtrack to your book. So here we go. We're gonna read it again. Emmet Owl plays the harp, and we're gonna make some sound effects as we go. Once, there was an owl named Emmet Owl. He was 9 years old. He lived with his mom and dad. They were a good family. He always wanted to play the harp. So he asked his mom if he could. She said, "I have to talk to Dad." And they both said yes. Miss Who was his harp teacher. She was a very, very good teacher. 4 months later, he told his friends about his new talent, and they said, "You play the harp? You probably can't strike a note. You're kidding." They laughed, ha ha ha. Louie and Dewey thought the whole idea was so funny. "I'm not kidding, and I can prove it too. I'm going to invite you to a concert next Saturday," said Emmet. All week after school, Emmet Owl went straight home. He did his homework and he practiced his harp. On Saturday, Emmet Owl was nervous. His friends were there to laugh him off the stage, but his mom and dad and harp teacher had faith in him. When he played the harp, the room was silent and still. He played so beautifully. Everyone was impressed with how nicely he played. After Emmet Owl played the harp, the audience applauded. His friends Louie and Dewey now felt rather silly. They came up to him and said, "Sorry for not believing you about the harp." "It's okay," said Emmet. "Do you think we could still be friends?" said Louie. "Sure," said Emmet. "Could you teach us how to play the harp too?" asked Dewey. "Sure, I'd be glad to," said Emmet. The end. So I encourage you to look around your house, see if you can find a book that you can create your own musical soundtrack to. Have fun!